You can start, Swamiji. Everyone has joined.
Okay. So we close our eyes first. And we are going to chant the Omkar. But just before I start, I'm just going to tell you one little sentence. It'll come up later. The Omkar is the symbol of the infinite Parabrahman, or the unconditional, what we call Shivam. So when you chant the Omkar, we are in contact with that unconditional infinite consciousness, the supreme consciousness. Keep that in mind when we do it. It's not just a concept, it is a reality. So we'll chant Om 3 times, breathing in. Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Hari Om Tat Sat. Open your eyes. So the topic today was all the what is generally called by people as stones. So I have to give you a bit of an introduction to what these stones are before I put this before you. So we are going to a samvada. Samvada is a discussion. And the discussion in the books, it will tell you that it is between Shiva and Shakti. What is Shiva? Shiva means an auspicious supreme consciousness. It doesn't have any form. It doesn't have any color. It doesn't have any past, present, or future, because it is eternal. So it never decays. It never gets older. It's the same always. And that's why one of the reasons it's called Pranava. Nava means the new. Pra is the perfect newness. Every second it goes on being resurrected again and again. If it was not so, none of us will have any chance to go into any higher dimensions, because we are using this ladder called the Om to reach our own inner source, which is the highest consciousness. So if you say that God had come out of Om so many years ago, then that means now it's not there. But actually it is here all the time, that particular vibration. And that vibration is there everywhere in the universe, because this is called omniscient and omnipresent. It is there in even the dust particles around us as we speak now, in the computer also, everywhere. So in the Samvada, Shiva, which is that highest consciousness. Now you'll say, how does that highest consciousness talk? You say it has no qualities. No, correct. Thing is, somebody who has done enough meditation and enough bhakti, when you have sufficient bhakti, you move without realizing inwardly towards the highest consciousness. And then if that highest consciousness, that supreme, which is without form, needs to send a message to the universe, then it enters into the consciousness of that person who's ready to merge, and he will talk about it. So his talking is actually the consciousness using his mouth to speak. That is why we say these people are called the gurus, the sants, the great bhaktas. And that is why when we do the vandana in the ashram or anywhere, we say Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, meaning he is the supreme consciousness that is speaking to you through that mouth for that time. Now, if you're going for a higher purpose, then that consciousness will use the mouth of that guru and speak to you. But if you're going to that guru to say, my romantic life is falling apart, or I'm not getting proper maintenance from my husband, or we are in the court for a bit of land, those things the guru will respond with his personal prarabdha karma of the body or the mind and his ordinary wisdom, or he may not. But that is not the thing that we take to a guru. We go to a guru because this awesome energy, the cosmic energy, which is seen here, the symbol is shown as a Shivalingam up and down also. This extraordinarily infinite energy is there in every single being, every person, every animal, every bird, every leaf, every flower, every bit of dust, it is there. It is only a question of us understanding that and opening our hearts out to it. So this one says, this consciousness is speaking to Shakti, and it says, there is one real, one truth. It is called Shiva. Shiva is not that person that you imagine with a, crescent moon and snakes over him. Those are only symbolic of what they are trying to say about this auspicious consciousness. Shivam means the auspicious, the sacred, the holy, that consciousness. So he says, it is without, this is the supreme consciousness, the Parabrahman. It's called, Para means beyond. Brahman means that which is constantly expanding, infinitely expanding. So it is without a second, because if you had two Parabrahmans, then you'll say there are two gods and we'll fight. So there is only one controller of the universe. Somebody calls it Krishna, someone calls it Shiva, someone calls it Vishnu, somebody else calls it Yahweh, somebody else calls it the Father, someone calls it Allah. It doesn't matter what name a child calls the Father. It is the same one supreme consciousness we are talking about. So he says, it is the one without a second, sovereign of all. That is, he is the one who's ruling over everything in the universe, because he's ruling over everything that he manifests as. So he is in every bit of dust also. So when you say he's ruling over the dust, he's not sitting like a king that we imagine and gives rules. He is in that dust and guiding that dust to go in a particular place. He is in us and guiding us to go in a particular way, so that eventually the human being can achieve that merging into the highest consciousness. Remember, these many of these were brought to us by the sages and the gurus who had already reached that point. So what they are trying to do is tell you, listen, there is a way, you can also reach it like us, and this is the way. So he says, then it is self-luminous. For a candle, you have to light it for it to become lit. For a bulb, you have to put the switch. But this one is luminous in itself. It is like a big, huge, million suns put together, brilliant light. And it is called the Sat Chit Ananda. So we have to understand what is a Sat Chit Ananda. Because remember, the Shivalingam will be a manifestation of that, a symbolic manifestation of what is a Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means the truth. Now, often we confuse truth with fact. That I told you that that girl took that thing and walked away. That is a fact. If you say this in the court, for example, you might say, judge will say, was the woman in cross-examination, he'll say, was the woman angry when she hit the child? Then the witness does not say, yes, she was angry, I saw her. No, the witness, as the judge will say, no, you haven't seen her anger. Just describe what you saw. Then the witness will say, I saw her raise her hand and bring it towards the child as if to hit it. I saw her eyes becoming red. I saw her face looking ferocious. I expected that it is an angry person giving a hit. Then the judge will keep it on the side, because it can be a person who is scared and giving a hit. The eyes can still be red. So the unconditional consciousness here is talking about being the truth, Sat. It is not a fact. All these that we say are facts. The truth is that which was always there in the beginning, that which is here now, and which will always be there because it is eternal. That is the truth. So nothing in the universe that is manifested or created is the truth. The truth is only with the divine supreme consciousness and a fraction of it which he becomes when he enters you as an Atma. And once he gives you a soul or an Atma or a spirit, he moves from one lifetime to another, one life to another as the soul through every different body you take. So you can have different bodies. They are illusions because they are here today, tomorrow not here. We don't remember what we were in the previous lifetime. We don't know what we are going to be in the previous lifetime. That is the body and mind. But we know one thing, the soul which the divine consciousness became in the beginning, that consciousness, that Atma, that soul, that spirit is constantly with every body that we take. And it carries our karmas also, so that it knows which body to put us in, so that we can reach the truth through experiencing that particular body. So whenever anybody moves on the spiritual path or even otherwise, there is no coming down for them. Some people ask, what happens now? We haven't done anything. We haven't reached there. Now we are leaving it. We lost this world and we lost the material world also. That is not true. Krishna says in the Gita, every soul will continue from where it left off in a previous lifetime. So you always have that divinity within you. And that is Sat. Now, the Mandukya Upanishad says, as from one high kindled fire, thousands of different sparks are born. All have the same form of fire. So also, the immutable, manifold becomes forms, and it is born in every being, in every life. So it is that divine who is within you. And this is the time for everybody to know it, because we have always been running outside, looking at this, looking at that. And that's a good thing. We have kept alive the samskara in us, go to temples, go to ashrams. But eventually, when you go to a temple, when you go to an ashram, when you go to a battlefield like Arjuna, you got to work to find the divine within yourself. So all the jivas, the million creatures, are portions of him. Everything, like sparks of fire. Each jiva passes through several gradations of life on the earth. Immobile creation, as well as the mobile, as insects, birds, animals, men in different stages of development, gods and liberated men also. Everybody is controlled by our ancient ignorance. Because originally when we are born as a tree, then that tree, it will stand only in one place, right? It won't move around. So we think it doesn't have God in it. But it has its own swadharma. When you cut the tree someday and make it into a table, the table won't run around also. It will also stay only in one place. So that is the dharma of the tree. But when the tree changes and becomes an insect, when it can run around, then that same Atma will get into the insect and the insect can run. So everybody is controlled by the old ignorance, which is staying in one place, not moving around. If you get around anywhere, then we are likely to be damaged. Predators can come after us. So we don't know this. And human beings carry that old vasana from one lifetime to the other, and it stays in the unconscious mind as what is called a vasana. So there is a constant fear of dying or not existing, because we think when the body goes, we are finished. But here they are teaching us a technique where even when the body goes, if you are aware and alert, you will see your own Atma moving as light from one body to wherever it's meant to go. This is why in the old days, people would say, go and see the face of the person who has died. If you ask anybody, they say, no, my uncle died, I have to go see his face and come. Not to see his face. His face is the Atma. If you're there at the particular time when the Atma leaves that body, you will also benefit from seeing that Atma. But if you don't know there is a thing like that, you won't be looking for it. So you won't see it at all. But if you're alive, alert, and if you know there is such a thing and it makes sense, then you watch and you will see the Atma going. And when you see the Atma going, it's okay. So that Atma didn't die when the body died. My Atma also is like that. So you will start searching for your Atma Shakti. And this search is called Atma Vidya. When you start searching, then a guru will come to you. Many gurus will come to you from different directions. One guru will come to you who has reached that point, and that guru initiates you into the Atma Vidya, that is into following the Atma. But because we have many, many irons in the fire, we want to come to it at the end after fulfilling all the karmas that we have. So it takes a long, long time to reach there. So this is the thing that we have to remember. Now that Guru's consciousness, when he gets the supreme consciousness, will be there for the disciple from everything around. So you have a statement in the Vedas that the wise worship the whole universe as their Guru. And you will see yourself, sometime it will maybe an auto rickshaw driver who tell you something, maybe a maid telling you something, maybe somebody who's ill you are treating telling you something, your child telling you something, and suddenly you will say, hey, this makes sense. So this consciousness is everywhere by the grace of the Guru. So this in one of these lifetimes, the human being becomes awake. Till then, we are walking around in a dream state. When we become awake, what happens is we are aware that we are in bondage to the changing material world. You know, some of us hang on to the money that we have collected in our lifetime. Are we going to take a pie with us when we go? We can't even take the body. You can't even take the ashes of the body. So that is the temporary part of you. The permanent part of you is different. So, at one point you become awake to that, and then you are aware that we have been in bondage to the many changing things in the material world and our own changing body and mind. When we say, I am Dharmakeerti, I am Brinda, we are talking of the body and mind by which society has been addressing us for the sake of communication. Communication is good. It's not wrong, but don't depend on it as if it's the final truth of everything. Because names can change from one lifetime to another, sometimes in the same lifetime, but the soul, the Atma, is always permanent. So at one lifetime, the man realizes the necessity of being released from this bondage. You don't want to hang on to something that is a lie. You want to move to the final truth, that which is permanently there, which is within you. And then you know that you're in a position to take the steps for that liberation. If you were not in that position, I would not be sitting here, you would not be sitting there. Many of you would not have gone to yoga to practice or joined the YTTC or even talked to other people and learned yoga from other people. All this is because somewhere your destiny has changed. You have become half awake. We are all half awake, but the Guru will see to it that we are fully awake. What do you do to a child if he doesn't get up to go to school? You call him by the name, no? You say, Rama, 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 get up. Rama, get up. Then you take a thing and hit him. That is what God does. So don't worry if you have difficulties coming, if you have sufferings coming. It's just because we are not getting up, and God in the Guru will sometimes take a stick and hit you, or a hammer. So this realizing that we are in a position to take steps, we have the same will, the sankalpa. It is not totally that liberation, but we are in a position that we can change our mind and body to move towards the highest position. This is a will, and it is not totally subject to all our impulses and drives of nature like it was earlier, and like beings older than the human being are in the scale of evolution. You know, you can teach a dog to jump by giving him a biscuit. You can teach it to sit by giving him another biscuit. And that is how we have all been going. You can see even in the world today, every day freebies are given to people so that they will vote in a particular way. All this is conditioning. And this conditioned mind is called a polluted mind. When you awaken to this and you say, hey, why am I running behind all this that is temporary? And then you move into the inner path in your own way. You say, I'm going to look at something that is always present, the truth. The minute you say it, the truth has come into your tongue. Otherwise, you couldn't say the word. So the minute that happens, God changes your destiny. This supreme consciousness wakes up inside you and changes your destiny. So this changing of the destiny by that pure consciousness within you is called Chit. So you've got Sat, Chit. Now, Chit must not be confused with Chitta. Chitta is the individual consciousness which is conditioned by the happenings of our life, the physical, the emotional, and even the spiritual things, ideologies that we are going towards, influenced by the ego. This is called the Chitta. So the terms, I'm telling you these terms so you understand it in a broader way. When you say Chitta Shuddhi, it means purifying the Chitta so that it will reach a point of non-conditioning. It's not a moral concept. It is a spiritual concept. Chitta Shuddhi means moving away from all that you are conditioned by, or even if you are conditioned in a particular way, when it is happening, you know this is happening to me. I'm following this. So when you move into Chitta Shuddhi and you go expand yourself, Tanoti means expansion. That's the first word of Tantra. The Brahma Brihad means expansion. We expand and we expand and we reach a point when the supreme consciousness jumps into us. We don't jump into it because the individual cannot jump into anything. The divine will jump into the individual consciousness. It is like if a drop of water falls into the ocean, it becomes the ocean, no? But when the drop of water falls, the ocean has to jump into it. Otherwise, it might be like a drop of oil. It might float on the surface. So it is always a supreme consciousness jumping into the person or the being, any being it can happen, which has Chitta Shuddhi or an unconditioned consciousness at a particular time and you're ready. So that is why they say when the disciple is ready, the guru will come. And it is known when the disciple is ready. You cannot pretend, you cannot play act, you cannot just wear geru and walk around. You can fool men and women and even animals, because not so much animals, because we can pretend to be what we are not, but you cannot pretend before the Paramatma. Each soul is called an Atma. The totality of all the souls is called the Paramatma. So now you know what is Sat, you know what is Chit, not Chitta, and Ananda. Ananda, when the sadhaka merges with Chit, when his consciousness becomes unconditional, pure, and it joins with the Chit, which is the supreme consciousness, then they say you have a state of what is called extreme bliss. Because you are eternal now, you're constantly in a state of happiness. Happiness can come and go, but bliss is a constant state of what is always there. So this is something that I wanted to tell you before we go on to the talk about Shivalingam itself. Now, sages who have experienced this moving into the supreme consciousness and come back with that state of consciousness, they tell us that you have to, this body that you have is meant to be guarded, nourished, and built up with a goal to achieve the highest end, which is liberation from the transient and temporary world. It doesn't mean you die. You are just moved away from that which is transient to which is the truth, which is always present. Now, this is when you live according to the spiritual dharma. And this dharma has been given to us in many ways. One of the ways that is given is as yamas and niyamas. For example, the first yama is non-violence. Now, if you know that that supreme consciousness is in you and in the door in front of you, let's forget about people. Then you know that if you bang the door and hurt the door, you are hurting yourself in the door, because you are also everywhere. So this is the reason they say that when you reach the highest level, you realize that everything is one. And this is called the Advaita. Till you reach that point, we will use many symbols to help us reach there. Now, when you're following the yamas and niyamas and you make it a part of your lifestyle, you have to remove many ignorant related habit patterns within yourself. Some of it can be very painful. Some of it can be very disruptive, but it is something that you make a conscious choice to accept, acknowledge, and not necessarily react to it negatively. You can react to it positively. And that is the way you help yourself to become well-versed and acting on the yamas and niyamas, which is called the dharma. Now, when you are dharmic for a long time, then that helps you to get jnana. Jnana means the wisdom, the cosmic wisdom, because you are following the same proper guidelines. When you have the jnana will take you to dhyana. Dhyana is meditation. And here meditation is not called as a technique. It is wherever you sit, your mind is that here is the divine. Here divine is in this, the divine is in this. It's constantly you are contemplating the divine, not in a posture or in a technique, but always it's in your mind. Because somewhere the Guru has awakened something in you. So he's there and he's telling you, if you listen, look, that is also the divine. Why are you getting angry with somebody who's yelling at you? It is a divine in that body yelling at you because there is something you need to learn. Are you really detached? Are you equanimous? So like that. So when you get dhyana and you are doing yoga, as Swami Niranjan always says, especially these days, which Swami Satyananda also said, is yoga is not a posture or a breathing technique. The postures that you do, asanas and the pranayama breathing technique, is to get us disciplined and to get us to focus on certain things from where you can take a jump into the next level. And eventually yoga means a yuj, means a meeting and a melting into. You move from the individual consciousness into the supreme consciousness. This is called yoga. Then when you have that dhyana and you are in that yogic state, Sri Aurobindo said that yoga is a 24-hour thing. So when you are in that state, then you are liberated or you get moksha from the temporary world. You can't get it by leaving the world and running away. You can't get it by this, because this is your karma. You have earned it. You've got to live with it, whether it's good or it's bad. The only thing they are saying, watch, be a witness, be a witness. That is what Krishna told Arjuna also. And remember, when a guru tells you, be a witness, he has already become the witness inside you. He has blessed you with that grace. Now you just have to, somebody has lit the fire, you have to keep it alive. So this is the Satchidananda means that. Now, the situation is this. In reality, the Supreme Consciousness has no gunas, no form, because every form is that Supreme Consciousness. What we know is academic and intellectual, but if we want to experience it, we need a form, because our limited minds, in this sense, it's not a cosmic mind, it is still an individual mind. It can only learn to concentrate through a form. When you learn to concentrate slowly through a form, that form will lead you to the formless, the nirguna state, in which you are able to get in touch with the feet of the cosmic consciousness. So one of these forms that they talk about is the Shivalingam. So this is a Banalingam, which I'll talk about a little later. If you put out the pictures, I'll tell you the names of them and then I will go into them later. This is an emerald lingam, Shivalingam. Then you have the next one, a ruby Shivalingam. And then here we are coming to the Shaligrama. So we'll leave this for the next. So this is enough for now. So a lingam means, the word itself means a sign, a mark, an emblem, an evidence, a proof of the fact that the divine exists. How is it a proof? You don't know a thing called electricity. You have never seen electricity. None of us have. But when you put a switch and the light comes on, we say, oh, electricity is there, right? Somebody is in a TV studio and they are singing. You want to listen to that song. You put on your TV. And what happens? You see the song. You can't see. I used to have a dog who would go behind the TV and look to see if somebody was sitting there. So you don't see the sound waves moving and coming in space, but the sound waves and the visual aspects come, and then we see it playing on the TV. So we need the form. Only when you see the bulb, you know electricity is there, or the fan, you know electricity is there. So in the same way, when you see a Shivalingam, it is a proof. The proof you'll find later with your sadhana. But in the beginning, it's a stone. But this particular stone is considered sacred because it is a proof that there is an unconditional divinity in it. So this is an abstract representation of the supreme consciousness, which we call Shiva. This is Shiva, not the person with the crescent moon and the snake on his body. And it is represented as a vessel within a disc-shaped platform. You will see it in a lingam that is sitting inside a yoni. You'll find it. It is like this thing will be sitting on something. And what they symbolize is the merging of the macrocosmos with the microcosmos. That is, the cosmic level, the infinite level is merging with that which is finite in the stone. That is what it is telling you. And when you awaken your own consciousness, you will see it in that form. So the Shveta Ashvatara Upanishad says, Shiva, the Supreme Lord, has no liyuga. Liyuga means a form, meaning he is transcendental, he is beyond forms. Supposing you love your mother or your father or your child or your husband or your boyfriend or just a friend, anybody, or you love cricket or you love golf or you love eating rasagulla. How do you describe that love? It's an energy. All you can say, I love rasagulla, I love eating it. So somebody else will say, okay, this is the way I love gulab jamun. You know, this is an analogy. The gulab jamun and the rasagulla has nothing to do with the supreme consciousness, but the energy of what we call love has to do with it. So Shivalingam here is an abstract representation. So it is the merging of the everything that is manifest in the world. This stone stands for what is manifest, everything out there, which merges with the supreme consciousness. So that is why they show it as an elliptical thing. I'll tell you why elliptical in a little while. So the Shivalingam, many people have called it, lay people have considered the lingam to be a phallic symbol, a genital male symbol. I'm saying this because you will come across many yoga studios in different places which will tell you, we will teach you through Tantra how to have a sexual relationship between the male and female who are Shiva and Shakti, so that you will understand what it is all about. Swami Shivananda will say, being a symbol of the formless consciousness, it is not only a serious mistake to think like that, because that is a samskara you're putting in your mind, and you will be carried away with it and get into trouble. He says it's not only a serious mistake, but a symbol is thinking of it like that is a grave blunder. Why is it a grave blunder? Because in your mind, a symbol of the Shivalingam will always be a phallic symbol, and you will get confused. You'll always see, sometimes when you see a movie or you listen to a song, that song will go on repeating in your mind. Even sometimes you will be going out to catch the bus, suddenly that song will come up in your mind and you will say, from where is this coming? Because it is already put in there. That is called a vasana. Now, this is a name that is given to the light, Shivananda says, being a symbol of the formless consciousness. It's the light or power of the consciousness manifesting from Sadashiva. Sadashiva means the eternal, always there, the truth. Such an auspicious consciousness. That is what it means. And it is the Parabrahman, or the Supreme Being. Para, I said, beyond that which is expanding is its consciousness, the consciousness. So this concept was very widespread in Bengal. And when people did a lot of research, they realized that many of them were connected to the South Indian origins. Now, Shiva, in this, there are two types of lingams. In one, he has faces. You might see a lingam with a face, another one just a round elliptical. The one which has 5 faces, they are called Ishana, Tat Purusha, Vamadeva, Aghora, and Sadyojata. They are called the Pancha Brahmas, or the 5 creations. What does this signify? It signifies that this auspicious consciousness that you call Shiva has 5 faces. And these 5 faces are called Panchakrityas, that is 5 actions that it does. And what are the 5 actions? Creation, it creates the entire universes, then maintaining it, then dissolving it back into its source. In an ordinary human being, you're born as a baby. You don't have a name when you're born. You don't have people don't tell you you're a Vaishya, you're a Shudra, you're a doctor. You don't know that it develops later. So you have this person, this being or this consciousness that creates, that is one. It maintains the creation. And that's the second. The third is it dissolves it when the time is over. When the body is meant to go, it dies, the prana withdraws. When the whole creation is meant to go, prana withdraws from everything else. When a tree dies, the prana has withdrawn. So this is what it says. These are the 3. The 4th and 5th are Tirodhana and Anugraha. Tirodhana is a quality where the Supreme Consciousness brings on his own power of illusion. Please remember this. Mahamaya, or the Shakti, is not separate from Shiva. That is why they say Shiva and Shakti are one. When I'm talking, it is my energy that you're listening to. When you're listening, and I know you're listening, it is your energy that is listening. But you and your listening, me and my talking are not separate from me and my talking. They are not 2 different identities. So in the same way, Shiva and Shakti, or the consciousness and its energy, are always together. And when you say Tirodhana, the Maya aspect of him, the illusion that he creates, will make him cover the knowing of the Supreme Consciousness. Because we have our own personal identity. I'm Dharmakeerti, I'm going to the ashram, I'm talking today. I don't see myself as a Supreme Consciousness. Why? Because for centuries it has been drummed into us that you are nobody, you are somebody small. God is up there, either in heaven, in the sky, or inside you also, they say, but you are not God. But here the Vedanta will say that God is in you. Only your body and mind are separate. It's like a chariot or a car that you're driving. So that veiling it is called Tirodhana. And if you go to ashrams and if you go to some traditional people's homes, when you leave, they will give you a blouse piece. Remember, vastram. When you have to meet somebody, you give them a vastram. That means you are, and the gods in the temples are dressed with a sari or whatever it is, some cloth. That is to tell you, here what you are looking at is the Mahamaya, which is clothed with the vastram. She has used it to cover your eyes. And if a guru gives you a vastram, keep it as a sacred object. And remember that the guru is giving it to you because he's telling you, I am helping you to remove this vastram away from your eyes as Mahamaya. So this is Tirodhana. And when does that happen? It comes with the grace of the guru, who at that particular time is completely in tune with the highest consciousness. So it's anugraha from the Supreme Consciousness, the grace. And when you have this grace, you will be sitting and listening to what we are sitting and listening to now. in spite of the fact that our minds will say this is not rational, this is rubbish, but that's okay. Because I always remember a grandson of mine who said, I'm going to tell you something. You may be upset. I said, no, tell me. Because people he had said this to earlier got upset. They said, no, you mustn't say it. So I said, tell me what it is. And he said, I don't believe in God. I said, oh, so I said, that's all. You're not getting upset or angry. I said, why would I get upset with you for your opinion, which is your mind? I said, it doesn't matter whether you believe in God. So long as God believes in you, that's enough for me, I said. So that way our minds will constantly tell us this is not rational. That is rational. The next door lady has done it like that. If we do it, it will be okay. We have to go to this temple, then only it's okay. No, the divine is within you all the time. You are the temple. Remember that. So there are many types of Shivalingas. And a few examples I'll give. A Spatika Linga, that is made of crystal. I think there must be a picture in this if it comes, not that, and completely transparent one. If it is there, otherwise we'll see it in the Panchayatana Puja, don't worry. So there are many types of Spatika Lingams are made of crystal. And when people make it, unless it is got de novo from the ground or somewhere, when they make it, they keep chanting the Panchakshari, which is the Om Namah Shivaya. They keep chanting it continuously while they are making it. This is what sculptors will do when they are making any vigraha, any idol. They will keep chanting the mantra of that vigraha when they are doing it. Therefore, infusing that statue with those vibrations and allowing those vibrations to be infused into our bodies, which are like statues. So there are many, the good thing about it's considered very auspicious, and it removes all the negativities from the devotee and changes the power and gives you confidence. It gives you enhanced energy and confidence, as Spatika Lingam, because that is the quality of the vibrations within that lingam itself. So I'll give you a few temples where it is seen, where you will, if you look at it, you can look on your Google map if you want, or go there. Maybe next year, go together to each of these temples. Chidambaram, it is one of the most ancient temples in India, and it has the embodification of the infinite as space. So God is space. You will see an empty room with just a Shivalingam placed in the middle and some flowers going over it. And they will tell you this is the Chidambara Rahasyam. Rahasya means secret. The secret of Chidambaram is that the Supreme Consciousness is here vibrating in this form, in the form of space. So there is, Shiva is shown as being the different tattvas, the earth, the water, the fire, the air, and space. So in Chidambaram, this is what you will see. And he is called Nataraja there, the Lord of Dance. Because in manifestation, he is continuously dancing to different tunes in different ways. All that we do is his dance. And Nataraja is dancing in a hall that is called Chit Sabha, because that's why I gave you the meaning of Chit. It's the consciousness of the Supreme. It is not Chitta Shabha. It is Chit Sabha in the consciousness. And here is worshipped as formless space, and this is called the Chidambaram Rahasyam. So if you go there and you see the priest, if you know a priest, he will tell you. If you don't know, and if you know by yourself, you can follow your own inner soul. It will, when they will do an arti to the Shivalingam in front, then they will go to the behind, and in the room also they will do an arti. Then you will see there is no nothing here. Why are they doing it to this emptiness? If you ask him, they'll say this is a formless aspect of the divine, because the formless is everywhere. So this is about Chidambaram. Adi Shankara, who was the 8th century monk, I mean, you can use that word loosely. He, wherever he went, he either placed a Shivalingam or a Sri Chakra, which is an emblem of Shakti, And he went moving. This is a Spatika Lingam. This is what you see. So Adi Shankara presented a Spatika Lingam to the Chidambaram temple, and it is called Chandramaulishwara. So it is still there and it is still being worshipped, but it's inside the Garbhagudi. Very few people can go in. In the same way, in Hawaii, you have a 3-foot tall Shivalingam. It is the largest natural 6-sided single-pointed crystal ever found. So this is not this, it's in Hawaii. I haven't put the picture, but just for you to know. Then in Madurai, the Meenakshi Amman temple, which is 2,500-year-old city, it has a century-old Spatika Lingam, which has now started cracking slowly by usage. And to replace this, the Sringeri Shankaracharya has got a Spatika Lingam from the Himalayas. And after doing seeing whether it fits into what is supposed to be a Shiva Lingam, then he has presented it to the Madurai Meenakshi temple. Then there is a temple in Rameshwaram, which is built in the 12th century. It's one of the 12 Jyotirlingas, that is came up as a pillar of light. The Spatika Lingam was placed there also and consecrated by Adi Shankara, because Adi Shankara was an avatar of the higher consciousness, who came in to revive our own consciousness. So there are 5 major temples called the Panchabhuta Sthalams, each representing a primordial element. I told you about space in its form, it's in Chidambaram. The Prithvi Tattvam is in Ekambareshwara temple in Kanchipuram. Now, I've personally had an experience there, because at one time, maybe a year and a half ago or something, I felt my body becoming very heavy. And while I was at home, and I thought, oh, maybe these are my last moments. That's how I saw it. I could hardly walk. If I put one foot in front of the other, I would need somebody to support me. And I was asked to go to Kanchipuram, not knowing any of this. And Shivani and I set out, because Shivani is a good friend, a Guru Bhai, so to speak. And she came to hold me as I walked, so I wouldn't tumble down. So we went to the Samadhi of a sage there, who is called Periyava or Chandrasekharendra Saraswati. And I sat in that Samadhi place, and she, along with others who had come with me, went for a circumambulation. I said, I cannot walk around, I'm just sitting here. And then I sat there and I was just chanting silently the Pranava, the Omkarams, as I was asked to do by somebody. And by the time she went round and came, could have been about 15, 20 minutes or something. And she put out her hand to help me stand up, and I just stood up without it. Then I said, I'm able to move. I became light. This is what I said is how the gravity of the earth is the tattva there. The earth keeps you. If not for the gravity of the earth, you would not be heavy. You would not stand on the earth. If it had no gravity, we'd all be flying around somewhere. So this is the earth tattva. There is a lingam which shows the Prithvi lingam. Then you have the fire element in Tiruvannamalai. Tiruvannamalai is where you have the story of Shiva coming as a pillar of fire between a quarreling Vishnu and a Brahma, who said they were the ones who were responsible for creation and dissolving. And the pillar of fire came and addressed them, I'll tell you little stories in between. Keep an eye on the time. So in that fire came a voice saying, find out my beginning and the end. So Vishnu took on the form of the boar and he went right down Varaha Rupam, and he couldn't find its end. He came back and said, I could not find the end. Brahma flew up as a Hamsa. Hamsa is what? The breath. Your breath is the Hamsa mantra, ajapa, ajapa. So he flew up, and on the way he saw a flower falling. So he thought he'll bluff it out. So he told the flower, just stand by me as a witness, I'm going to say something. So he goes to that pillar and he said, I saw the beginning, and this flower will bear witness, please. And then he was asked by that fire, did you see him coming? It was, that flower was supposed to have been kept on the head of Shiva, the fire. So yes, I saw him coming, it said. So because Brahma spoke a lie. So the understanding is that everything in creation which is manifest is a lie, because this is not the truth. The truth is a consciousness within it. That is the message that the Puranas are giving us. So Shiva said to Vishnu, you are on par with me. This is a way of saying Shiva and Vishnu are one consciousness, because Hari is the word for Vishnu and Hara is the word for Shiva. It comes from the word Harati, which means destroys. And we always think Shiva comes and destroys everything. He destroys our life itself. We die and Shiva is there waiting in the funeral, cremation ground, but that's not what they mean. They are saying both Vishnu and Shiva takes away the poison within us. That is, they can swallow the negativity that we have and allow us to become more unconditioned and move towards a formless, pure chitta. So this is why Hari and Hara are the same. So this is one thing I wanted to tell you here. Then you have that was the Agni, and that was a story behind it. And that Agni became the Shivalingam in the temple in Tiruvannamalai. Then you have another, which is the wind element. That is in Kalahasti. The wind element, there is a form of the lingam which comes up coming up. It comes up by itself. Nobody makes it. The Bana lingam is like that. Swayambhu it is called. So a Swayambhu lingam came up there. And that place, now they have made a lingam there and they light a lamp before it. And if you go to that place, you'll find that there is nowhere that air can enter that Garbhasthan. That is why you'll find many of our sanctuaries do not have windows to look outside. People will say, couldn't they have put 2 windows and brought in air? They do it very specifically and very consciously, so air doesn't enter. And there is this lamp which is kept, and it moves from side to side as if the air is the light, the flame, as if the wind is moving it. But you cannot see the wind and you cannot see it from outside. So this is the story of Kalahasti, where you have the wind. So this is the Vayu Tattva. Then you have what is called the water, Jala Tattva. And that is in a place called Jambukeshwara temple. He comes as Jambukeshwara. Jambu means some fruits, when you eat it, your tongue becomes pink, blue. Different places call it something, but that is a Jambu Phal. The story is that Shiva told Shakti, the Parvati, in her manifest form, he said, you go sit there in that place. And that place was a place filled with jambu trees. So she sat under one tree and she took the water from the flowing river around and she made a lingam out of that water with her own siddhi. She made it stand. And she did her penance there. And Shiva comes down and he gives her the Diksha of Shiva Jnana to understand what really is the supreme consciousness, to experience it. Now, when Shiva came there was silence. He spoke to her in silence. She understood. But he had 2 Ganas with him. Ganas means his devotees, who may be Gandharvas, different dimensions of consciousness, and they were always quarreling with each other. So when they quarreled at this auspicious moment, they were cursed that they would go down to earth. One will be an elephant and the other will be a spider. So the elephant and the spider, when they were born, the elephant wanted to protect this lingam, which was there. And in Kalahasti, this is. And this is not Jambukeshwar, this is Kalahasti and Sim. Jambukeshwar is where she got the Diksha. Now in Jambukeshwaram itself, there was an elephant and there was a spider. So the elephant was constantly protecting the lingam, and the spider would form a web on top of it to prevent dust from coming. They were bhaktas, devotees. But because they were constantly fighting, they came with that old vasana of fighting. There were two ganas, you see. So at one time, the divine comes and they die. The body goes and they get moksha there and they go back without fighting. So that place, they will also show you a place where there is a spider and there is an elephant that was there, and now they have made a statue. So this is the water element in Jambukeshwar I was telling you. And in Jambukeshwar, there is a pit containing a lot of water under the Shivalingam, under the lingam and under the Devi who is there. She is called Akhilandeshwari. The Ishwari means one who governs, the Akhilam is the whole universe. So when people found out why is this water under this thing, so they tried, he is Jambukeshwara, he has come there as the consort of Akhilandeshwari. So they dug and they found there was a big pit of water with an underneath stream. So they tried pumping out the water. After we got the machines and things, maybe they did it earlier, I don't know. But no matter how much you pumped the water out, that was always remained that amount in it. So this is called the water tattva that they are showing there. And at one time, the Akhilandeshwari, that energy was so powerful that without any reason, shops that had, small shops that had set up opposite this many, many years ago, to 8th century, they started catching fire. So they said, now what do we do? So much energy, what do we do with it? So then Adi Shankara came there, and what he did is made 2 Sri Chakrams. You must have seen Sri Chakram. I'm not going to talk about it now. It's a geometrical pattern, which is a yantra of Shakti, the Devi. And he made it like 2 earrings and he placed it on the idol. And the power of the Sri Chakrams brought down this energy. So after that, it didn't burn anything around it. So they have the, every so many years, the priests themselves, after a certain penances and traditions, they will remove that and replace it with another Sri Chakram there. So long as that Sri Chakram is her earrings, you will be saved from disasters. That is what is said. Now, if this news goes around, as it will usually, there will be people and there will be fashion bodies which will make earrings made of Sri Chakra image. And then they'll sell it saying, see, if you wear it, the Shakti is with you, you will be always protected, and where you go, everything will become, immediately it will come to you, and there will be people who will buy it also. And that is why some of these rahasyas are kept guarded. And how is it guarded? I'm just telling you about it. The priests who do the mantras and the japa and the penances with regard to this, like the priests of Puri Jagannath, they do certain penances to be able to have that energy to deal with this in its rightful value, not as just a trinket. So when you go to a temple or anything and somebody gives you a Sri Chakra earring, don't waste your time picking up, because this will be another illusion which you will fall for, and then overall you will lose your belief in something higher, because a small transient thing has caught you through your ego. So these are the 5, I've told you this. And there is yet another deity in a temple in a town called Shankaran Kovil. The town is, it is near Tirunelveli. And here Shiva and Vishnu are fused together in one form. And there is a Shivalingam there too. And this deity is called Shankaranarayanan. And the Amman, the Shakti there of both Shiva and Shakti is called Gomati Amman. Here too there is a Spatika Lingam left by Adi Shankara. So having said this, the scriptures say that Shiva can be worshipped in the form of a lingam made of mud, cow dung, wood, bronze, black granite, sandalwood, precious metals. That's why he showed you the ruby and the emerald, and grass and flowers, the durva grass, kusha grass. Because precious metals also have their own vibration. Now, the purest of these Spatika lingams and others is not carved by man, but made by nature. And when you see the Spatika lingam, this is not a Spatika lingam, this is a ruby one that's generally made. This is a Spatika lingam. It's made by nature and it's gathered molecule by molecule over hundreds and thousands, maybe even millions of years old, by nature shaping it, shaping it, shaping it. That's how it becomes. When you have a suppressed coal, it becomes a diamond after millions of years, right? Now they can make synthetic diamonds, but it will never have the value that a real natural diamond has. The same way, these Spatika lingams are crystals that are natural and not crystals that are made by man. So if you're thinking of getting a Spatika lingam from Amazon.com.in, please be very careful. It might be a glass piece that has been made to look like a Spatika. You have to know a Spatika, maybe take a honest jeweler with you to pick it out. So Shiva can be made of these things. And it is made molecule on molecule, molecule on molecule, just like the human body grows. That's how the human body grows. It is not that one day you're a baby and suddenly next day you're a youngster and third day you become a teenager. It's not like that. Molecule by molecule, the consciousness in the body has to allow it to grow. If the consciousness meets a cell in between, which has many atoms and molecules, and if the cell is diseased in a particular way, it becomes proud that it is in such an important position. It will join with all the other cells around it, influence them, and they become a tumor or a cancerous structure in the body. So the molecules have to be pure also when it comes to that level. And the second one that I will talk about is the Banalingam. The Banalingam, you saw an image of it. The Banalingams are also supposed to be very pure. Excuse me. Before the Banalingam I speak about, I'll talk to you about a strange lingam in Amarnath, which is in the Himalayan region. And this is made completely of ice in a particular shape and fashion. You can't go and see it throughout the year because in the summer, the ice melts completely. After it has melted, that's when the temple is closed. At a particular monsoon, during winter, they'll open it, at which time the drops of water have fallen little by little, and it becomes like a stalagmite. But it has a perfect image of the Shivalingam there. So people go to see it because it's Swayambhu. It happens every year. And the most fascinating thing about it is everybody closes the Amarnath cave. It's in a cave and they go away to come back the next time. The priest keeps a lamp that is lit in front of with that much of oil. You know, we have oil lamps in India. So when you come back after so many months, 5-6 months, when it is starting to become the Shivalingam, that lamp is still continuing to burn with the oil in it. So this is Amarnath. So let's come to the Banalingam. This is considered very, very holy. In fact, when we were told we have to keep a lingam in the Atmadarshan Yogashram. And we asked Swami Niranjan, should we go ahead and do it? He said, yes, you have been having a Shakti for so many years. You must have a Shivalingam to equalize the energy. So I said, okay. So what I thought was I'll go down to the next street where they're making statues and I'll pick up a Shivalingam and come. I was dumb. I still am. So then immediately knowing that, he said, not a man-made one. You have to get it from the Narmada river. And so I said, no, I don't know where the Narmada river. I called up one of my friends, Manorupa, and I said, listen, next week we are going to Manorupa. Let's book the tickets. We are going to Narmada. So she said, what are we going to Narmada for? I said, we are going to bring a Shivalingam. Not even knowing what a Shivalingam looked like. I know what I see in temples and elsewhere. So then she said, let us find out in one of the shops. Giri shops they usually have. So when I went to the Giri shop in Bangalore, they said, we don't keep it. You will get it in our main shop in Chennai. So I said, okay. So I phoned them up. They said, yes, we have one Shivalingam. You can come and take it. I said, can you post it? They said, no, we don't post Shivalingams. You have to come in person and pick it up and go. So I said, how much is it? They said, it's about, I think it was 40,000 or something. So where do I get the money? I go to my next of kin and I sit on my husband's head and I said, we need it. We need it very desperately because Swamiji had said. And he said, where am I going for that sort of money? I said, it doesn't matter. You give it, it'll be in good cause. It'll help many people. So eventually he said, okay. And he wrote the thing. He had made a what do you call it? Check, which I was supposed to take to Madras and show to them and get the Shivalingam and come. As he was sitting down to sign his signature, a person called Vishwanath, those who come to Yoga Atma Darsham will know Vishwanath was called Vishwanath Mama. He comes like a quiet old man and he'll sit in the congregation. He is the one who told us to keep this Shakti there, Satyakshi. And then we asked Swamiji and he said, yes, he found the place. So Vishwanath Mama, as we call him, he calls me up as this sign is going on. He said, have you already signed for Giri? So I said, he's just signing, don't worry. He said, no, tell him not to sign. So that check was torn up. And then he said, I'll give you a name, ask this man, and he will get you a Shivalingam. So then I called this number. He says he's called Narayan. And you call him. So I call him up and then I say, I'm Dharmakeerti from the ashram. We need a Shivalingam here, Banalingam. So I said, I'll give it for you. So I was very pleased. So he said, but before I give it to you, I have to come and see the place, whether Shiva wants to be there. So he came one day, I accompanied him with Swami Yogamaya, and he looked at the place. And as he saw the place that it was meant to be kept next to Satyakshi, the birds outside started shrieking. And he was listening to the birds like this. So I was very amused, not having seen anything like this. So he walked around. He said, can you keep it anywhere else? I said, okay, walk around. So I walked around with him. When we reached the spot at which Satyakshi is now kept, the birds stopped. And he said, this is the place. What is this tree that is here? I said, that is the Rudraksh tree, which we kept 2 years. So Shiva is already here, so it's supposed to be there, he said. He said, I will get you. Now, so I said, so can I come and take it from your place? He said, no, the divers have to dive into the Narmada and get you. And it was cold by then. So I said, how soon can we get it? Because I wanted it before Shivratri. So he said, we can't say it, maybe 15 days or 45 days. Because within 15 days, a certain constellation comes and after that, they don't. So I sat and I said, oh God, please let it come in 15 days. And then he said, he sent a message saying that the revenue office in Narmada has told the divers that they are not to dive in for 15-20 days because it was very cold winter ice. So what did I do? I was sitting, okay, now 45 days later, it'll come, I suppose. So I waited. That every now and then I used to phone this man, sit on his neck and say, has it come, has it come? Then he said, I'll let you know when it comes, but I'll again call him after a week. Then anyway, it happened that on one particular day, my daughter-in-law who lives here, suddenly she said, she's not particularly traditional, conservative person. She said, suddenly I feel like doing a Havan to Mrityunjaya. I don't know why. It's coming in my mind 2-3 days. So I said, okay, we'll do it here. And she said, don't call anybody. I want to do the puja myself with the priest guiding. So I got a particular priest. He came, sat, she did. So I had to get all these samans and everything. So by the time she finished with it, I was very tired. It was done well. And I went to my place, and which is upstairs of where she lives. And I sat down, exhausted on the ground, and I get a phone call. And this man, Narayanan, phones me and says, Madam, your Banalingam has come, please take it. And I took a handbag. He said, come and take a jola I took. He said, bring 3 men with you who are able to lift it. So I thought, oh, it must be sort of heavy because he's on the 2nd floor. So I go with this, with a driver and 2 security guards and Manorupa. We all go there. And I take a jola to bring the Shivalinga in. That man looks at me and laughs. He says, what is this jola for? I said, I thought I'll take the Shivalingam and go back in this. Then he says, come in and see. So I saw this huge Shivalingam sitting there, and I told them, okay, we can take it. These people go towards it. No, no, no. You've got to do the Panchakshari 108 times, and Shiva has to give the consent. Otherwise, you will not be able to carry it. So they said, this driver and these 2 security guards sat there and did Panchakshari 108 times. Then they lifted it, huge thing, and we brought it to ashram ADY and we put it. That's another story. Just to tell you how these things are so valuable, and we don't know the mystery behind it, and we think it's a stone that way. Then, having got this, I just want to tell you that these Shivalingams will go to places where Shiva, that energy, that supreme energy, wishes to go. You cannot say, I'll go buy a Shivalingam and keep it, because if you're not meant, if you don't have the capacity to handle it, it will leave you in some way or the other and goes. Maybe you won't be able to do puja. You'll say, I'll give it off to some temple. Like that. It's happened to 1 or 2 people I know. And then you'll be surprised, there are many Banalingams. And it is said that in the Atharva Veda, a pillar or a stamba, pillar which is beginningless and endless, is said to have appeared as a lingam, and that is the day that is celebrated as Mahashivaratri. Now, according to the Linga Puranam, the linga helps charge your energies of the chakras, the Banalingams. Each one has a specific quality. Apart from that, it activates your Kundalini energy through its vibrations. It boosts the body prana. It enhances the feeling of unity, increases, promotes inner transformation positively, and it has many healing qualities. So if you have a Banalingam and you're doing puja for it or worshipping it or sitting in front of it every day or once a week, then you will gain all these qualities, especially the chakras waking up and the Kundalini rising. Now, it is supposed to be more powerful if the worship is done on the banks of a holy river like Ganga, Jamuna, Godavari, Narmada, or in temples or on banks of holy rivers. But Shiva will decide where he wants to go. So there are Banalingams which are in place like Kashi, Badri, in Atmadarshan, Bangalore, and you have many of these Banalingams in Munger, which came to Swamiji as a surprise. He did not know who brought it and left it there in the middle of the night. And now it is being worshipped there, but it was meant to come. It was just when he came back from the Kedarnath, that is another story in itself. Time. Okay. He went on a pilgrimage, and in that pilgrimage, he stayed overnight in the Kedarnath temple. And in the middle of the night, he heard a voice that told him, get up and go. So he got up. It's his guru's voice. And he told the 2 Swamis who are with him, we have to go now. And the Swamiji said, yes, Swamiji, we'll go in the morning, because now it's dark and where are we to walk? It's out in the hills. You can't find any habitation nearby. He said, I'm walking now. If you want, you follow me. So they walked up to one village. There they got a vehicle, and as wherever they walked, they heard this big noise behind them, and they saw a bridge collapsing. Every bridge he passed and went, the bridge collapsed behind. And when he came, he took a flight from, I think, Rishikesh or somewhere, and he went to Delhi. And while waiting in the airport, he watched the news that came, and they said there was a major landslide with avalanche sort coming down, and it came down and stopped as a big rock just behind the Kedarnath temple. So there is a picture of that rock. They pray to it. It just came there and it stopped, the huge one. So the Kedarnath temple was not touched. So it is there, and you'll be surprised. Yes, Shiva has gone all the way from Narmada to Ohio in the United States, in a small town called Youngstown, where there is a group of people called the Yoga Shakti group, and they have met Swami Satyananda, and his blessings are there on them. They headed by a person called Parvati Karis and her husband Tom. If some of you came for the symposium last 5 years ago, you will see that a number of holograms of the chakras were given out. These were made by Tom, the lady's husband, and they have given their house as an ashram where people can come, spend time, chant, and they have their classes there. This is where Shiva wanted to go, and this Manalingam went there. Every Saturday they do the Mrityunjaya Havan with the Abhisheka and everything else. I'm just telling you, it never depends upon time and place that we decide upon. Shiva can go anywhere. The energy can go anywhere. So puja or worship, somebody said they wanted to know what the puja entails. So I just wrote it down briefly, but I didn't want to go into it in detail because there isn't time for that. It is called the Shodasopachara Puja, or 16 offerings. Supposing somebody comes to your house, a guest comes, what do? You first ask them to sit down, right? You don't tell them run around the house and come then sit down. So asanam, offering the seat. Then they've come walking along from a long place. In the old days, they walked without shoes. And you wash the feet. You're doing it for the lingam, remember. Because the lingam is Shiva, who's come from a long distance to your house. So you wash it. It's called Padyam, Argyam, when you sip the water, because he's thirsty having walked so far. You let him have a bath, Snanam. Then Anulepanam, applying ash to God's body. Why ash? Because he represents that which is burnt and finished with. The Supreme Consciousness is not its manifestation. It is a form of his. So you apply ash, then you use gandham, sandal paste, you offer incense, stable light. Why all this? Because you're offering it to the tattvas within you. The light is for your eyes to see, the nose is for the smell. Mantras you chant for your sound. These are your karmendriyas and jnanendriyas you're offering it to, because that contains the divinity. And you're doing it towards the Shivalingam like this. Then you give Naivedyam. Naivedyam is fruits to eat or anything that you offer to be consecrated, like the holy food, and then you take it. You have it in the church also when you get the bread and the wine. It is just bread and wine, but it's given with certain worshipping mantras and procedures which consecrates it, because God or that consciousness has touched it, taken a bit of it. Now he returns it to you as prasad. So that becomes prasad. Then you have tambulam, betel leaves and nuts. What is tambulam? Tambulam is something, a leaf a sacred leaf which you eat after a good feast or something. It helps your digestion. It means that you have digested whatever you have eaten. Now this is given symbolically to say when you go to a temple, somebody gives you a diksha or in front of your guru, you offer him a coconut with tambulam and your dakshina there. The tambulam says, you have given me a dakshina, a diksha, and I have digested it fully within myself. Not in the stomach, but in my mind and in my soul. My soul have received it fully. So you give that. And then you give them the tambulam, then paniyam, which is coconut water. And then you give them vastram, coconut water being very pure because it's inside the coconut, no infection. Vastram is clothing. I explained to you about the cloth, why you wear it. Alankaram, the decorations. The decoration here is a bilva leaf for the Shivalingam because it's considered to have the same vibration that the Shivalingam has. So when you say a god, a deity likes this flower, he doesn't like that flower, they are saying that flower is resonating with that same resonance of the divine, but at a lower level, the same frequency. Then you have Achamaniya, that is again watering water and for drinking. And then you have the Arati, offering the ghee, lamp, camphor. If someday I talk to you about Krishna, I will tell you what the ghee lamp stands for. We don't have time today. And the mantra pushpam. You repeat the Vedic hymns or any chants that you know, like the Mrityunjaya Maha Mantram, because you are chanting it to say, let me be in merging with you, with the highest vibration. So this is it. And never put kumkum or saffron on the Shivalingam, because Shiva is a renunciate. When everything is done and gets over, the formlessness is that. A renunciate never puts a kumkum, it puts ash. So you will see many swamis wearing ash when they have taken sannyas. The red dot represents the color of the soil, the color of the blood, and it represents a Shakti or the manifestation. So if you are doing a Shakti worship, you can use a lot of kumkum. You can even use kumkum archana. So, okay, that was Banalingam. Now, that is why it is also called, there was a demon called Banasura, but he was very devoted to Shiva. Now you'll say, how can a demon be devoted to Shiva? Because Shiva represents power. And you'll see many people today who will want to be in power. And this man also wanted to. So he went according to the procedure and he prayed, and Shiva came to bless him. And how did he come to bless him? He said, I'll remove all your negativities. So Shiva came as a Banalingam there in the first, he came as light and he became the Banalingam, his first manifestation. And some of the pieces of the Banalingam is said to have fallen into the water. And in that water, or the Gandaki river, Narmada river, the bits have fallen, and these have through centuries, because of the water going over them, rubbing over them, they fall to the, they become
So I said, okay.
Wait a minute, somebody is putting on something else. Okay. So then it becomes, it shapes into a Banalingam. There are tiny Banalingams which you can keep in the house also, but you must get it either from Narmada or somebody who's going that side to get it for you, because otherwise people might polish a stone and give it to you and say it's a Banalingam. But anybody can get a Banalingam, small one, to keep and worship in your house. So when this man Banasura got it, and he changed, he was transformed into a good person, and he got moksha, or liberated from all his negativity and positivity, attained the soul, and these bits therefore fell into the waters, and it's called Banalingam in his memory. There are other stories also, but we won't go into that right now. There are no end to stories the minute you start me talking. So the next we are going into is Shaligramas. Till 42, okay, 4:30. These are Shaligramas. Just as the lingams are holy for the Shaivites, the Shaligramams are holy for the Vaishnavites, people who worship Vishnu. Now look at this one that you see, which he just held in his hand. I'll tell you a story about it later. Look at it nicely. See the opening in it, the little teeth at the back and the mouth open like it's going to swallow up something. This is called the Lakshmi Narsimha Shaligrama. There are many Shaligramas, and the marks on it will tell you, people who know it will tell you which Shaligrama it is. So here also the same philosophy is there at the back, that the unconditional, infinite supreme power that is worshipped as Vishnu comes in the form of a Shaligrama for the same purpose. And this is very interesting. It's formed due to massive geological movements of mega rocks and seawater. And not only did it create, because of the high pressure, they formed not only the Himalayan ranges, you can imagine when that was. They also compressed organic material into fossils, which are called ammonites. And these special variety of stone collected from the river bed in Nepal, it's called the river called Gandaki, Kali Gandaki river. If you go there, you can get, and these are black stones usually with fossil ammonites embedded in them. They are worshipped in temples, monasteries, homes as visible and natural emblems of the supreme consciousness. The picture, this is the Gandaki river, exactly the place where you where you get this Shaligramas, and it's called the Shaligrama Kshetra. That place, it's called Damodar Kund. So the people who worship this Shaligrama along with the Tulsi plant, they say that their houses, they are never impoverished. And ladies can also worship Shaligrama. I'm saying this because there is a myth that ladies cannot worship Shaligrama. There are 6 benefits in its worship. These are spiritual elevation, good health, harmony, prosperity and riches, righteous living, all worldly and spiritual comforts. So this is what the Shaligrama will have. According to the Skanda Purana, the Agni Tantra, and many Vedic texts, Shaligramas are found only in Gandaki river in Damodar Kund. Now you'll say, if you get so many of those there, why can't I go and get it from there? Why should I buy it? So they tell you 2 things. One thing, the exact location where you can find millions of Shaligramas, but because of the elevation of the place from sea level, it remains frozen most of the year. So it is buried under the ice. In 2 or 3 months of the year, ice melts, and due to the gush of water, the Shaligrama Shila means stones, roll down into Gandaki, and from it to its tributary Triveni. Here, imagine in that ice, which is everywhere else, not in the water yet, the locals dive down and get these precious pieces for devotees of the Lord. Sometimes they crack and even gold deposit on it. One can worship broken ones also, provided the chakras are not broken. There will be imprints of the chakras, which you can see in some Shaligramas. That should not be broken. But this one that you saw, it's another one is there, is called the Lakshmi Narasimha Shaligrama. I want to tell you a little bit about that because Narasimha happens to be my own Ishtadevata. So Narasimha, it is said that there were 2 guards of Vishnu, and they were careless at a particular moment when they didn't allow the devotees of Vishnu to go in, like the doorkeepers of the governor or the prime minister or something. So they were cursed by these people who came to say, cursed in the sense they grieved, and they said, you know how many lifetimes we have reached this consciousness to reach Vishnu, and here you tell us to wait. You will also go down and have to wait like us, and know how the grief will hit you at that time to be separated from the divine. So then at that time, the Supreme Consciousness, as Vishnu comes to them and he says, I cannot help it but follow what my devotees have said, because I am in them. I am the mouth in them speaking. So these people said, now what do we do? The 2 guards, they said, you can go down, he said, and be devotees for 7 lifetimes, or you can hate me for 3 lifetimes. So they said, how can we hate you? But the Lord says, it doesn't matter to me whether you hate me or you love me. You are just a form of me. You are like a kid kicking the parents. It is my promise that whatever you are, do it fully. If you want to come back in 3 lifetimes, hate me in those 3 lifetimes, but it is my dharma to come and give you moksha. So in one of these lifetimes, he was born as a demon called Hiranyakashipu. And Hiranyakashipu had a son who had Diksha into Vishnu devotion, Bhakti given to him when he was in the womb of his mother. So he was born as a Vishnu Bhakta, and you will see always that when a person is very angry and nasty and cruel on the outside, it shows that on the inside, there is something that is making him do it, a sense of lowered self-esteem or a powerlessness, and you want to be in power so that you're somebody. Because we are associating with the body and the human parameters for greatness. Such a person will always have the divinity within himself, but he won't know it. So Aurobindo will always say an atheist is God playing hide and seek with himself. So here was Hiranyakashipu, and he was mad with his son for always singing Vishnu bhajans, and he tried various ways to get rid of him. But the boy had the protection of Narasimha, because he said, what is your God like? He said, he's got a lion's face, because you know how children are. Something dangerous, the most frightening, the mighty thing in the forest, it's a lion. Now Hiranyakashipu had done a lot of tapas, and he had got a boon from the divine. And he said, what do you want to be? He said, I want to be immortal. They said, that's not possible. With this body, you can't be immortal. He said, okay, then let me choose how I'll be killed. So he was given that boon. So he said, I will be killed neither by a man nor by a beast, neither inside the house nor outside the house, neither in the day nor in the night, neither by weapons nor by plain hands, neither by something created by the gods or by men. So he had all these things put in place, and he thought he was smart. The thing is, the divine can be anything, because he can take any form. So but the divine will always follow the dharma that you have chosen. So what he did was, one day, this man, Hiranyakashipu, asked his son, you're all the time talking God, 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 Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. Where on earth is this Vishnu? So the boy says, why don't you see him everywhere? I see him everywhere. He says, it's in the bit of dust. Of course he's there. Is it in this pillar? He says, yes, he's there too. And he looks at the pillar, Hiranyakashipu. He doesn't see anything on it, because he has made the pillar himself. So he says, let me finish this once and for all. He goes and hits the pillar, and it breaks into 2, and out of that pillar comes a man-lion. Neither man nor lion. He waits till the Sandhya time in the evening, neither day nor night. He holds this Hiranyakashipu on his lap, which is, and sits on a threshold, which is neither inside the house nor outside the house. And then he tears the abdomen of the body with his nails, not with his fingers, because he said, not with the fingers, not with weapons. And then, what else did he say? Not made by God, not made by man, because he is a Swayambhu. Narasimha is a form of Vishnu. Vishnu has taken a form. He's not made by man. He's not made by other forms of his, which are called gods. So this was all done, and he got the moksha from the first life. And he comes twice more. Rama and Krishna kill him in different forms. But this is how he got moksha. One time I was walking in, along with one of my children, my grandsons, in a temple, and he saw this fierce form of Hiranyakashipu in Narasimha's lap and being torn. He said, I don't like that God. I said, why? It's so mean. Look at him, he's like a terrorist, he said. I said, no. So I thought to myself, now how do I make him understand? Because this is my Ishta Devata. So after some time, I thought the next day, I said, you know what he did? This man had a bad body. He was mean to everybody else. So God takes that form and he removes the body and he gives him a new, nice body. I said, oh, okay, he said. So that was, I mean, this is Narasimha, and they will say that Narasimha has no time frame to him. There is no tomorrow for Narasimha. You call him, he'll come if you're a devotee. Whereas for Rama, Krishna, anybody, you had to wait for the parents to do so many years of tapas. Then he is born, then he grows to a certain level, then he brings out the miraculous powers. But with Narasimha, you just call and he's there. In fact, the other day, somebody told me that if you're supposed to fall on a stone and lose your eye. If you're a Narasimha devotee, Narasimha is the form of the Devi, almost her first avatar, because the mother, the Devi or the mother, is supposed to bring out the 10 avatars of Vishnu from her 10 fingernails. She's the cosmic mother beyond everything, and she gives birth to all these devatas. So she comes in that form, because that's a movement form, you see, of Narasimha. And if you're supposed to, you'll fall on the stone, a small speck of dust may come and it could have removed your eyes if it had fallen sharply. But here, the Narasimha Shakti of Devi comes and prevents that dust from getting into your eyes and you're losing the eyes. So, wait one second. Excuse me for a minute. So, this is the power of the Shaligrama, Lakshmi Narasimha Shaligrama. I showed you. You see this? This is a big mouth. Earlier, you saw yet another one in which the teeth are also seen. This one. I said, these things will be there to show you the Shaligrama is a Lakshmi Narasimha Shaligrama, because Lakshmi is with him. So, this is about Shaligramas. And there are places. If you keep the Shaligrama, even if you don't worship it, if you keep it in your house, it has such a strong vibration. This is the chakra I'm telling you about. The Sudarshan chakra on a Shaligrama. This is called the Kurma Vishnu Shaligrama, where Vishnu is sitting on a tortoise. Because a tortoise in one of the Puranas says holds up the universe. So this is a Shakti of the mother that is holding up all universes together while the Maya goes on in every place. So this is a Shaligrama, which is also very, very rare, very important. If you keep a Shaligrama in your house, the vibration is so strong that it protects the whole house. It throws like a mantle over the whole house and the inhabitants while you're in that perimeter, and removes all negative thoughts and negative people, negativity coming into your house and the negativity coming into you as a person. So this is the power of the Shaligrama. And it is there in 3 or 4 temples. One of which is a Padmanabha Swami temple in Tiruvananthapuram. The whole statue of Mahavishnu lying down in the Padmasana posture is made of about 12,000 plus Shaligramas. Then you have the Radha Ramana temple in Vrindavan, which is one of the oldest installed as its presiding deity. Then you have Muktinath temple near Gandaki river, which has a presiding deity in a small form. Then you have in Udupi, Jagannath Puri, Mayapur, where the Ugra Narasimha power has been kept, because if you have one, it cannot be broken, that temple, because negative forces cannot come near. Shaligrama is an awake phenomenon, because the Vishnu is constantly in a Shaligrama. So you keep a Shaligrama, a Tulasi leaf, and a conch near it, and the divine Vishnu will stay in that place always. So that is how these vibrations are seen by people who have experimented and experienced them in the past and given us techniques on how to go about things. Because when you consecrate something, you're supposed to keep it in water for so many days for in rice for so many days, etc., etc. You do not need to follow those processes with a shaligrama. You can just keep it on the altar because it has been lying for millions of years in the water anyway. So it has a high vibrational frequency and it protects the house and people in the house. The energy in a shaligrama is more than an ordinary stone, and so the positivity is more in the lives of people who live with it together, irrespective of whether they worship it or not. Even a single glance at the shaligrama is said to bring blessings to the devotee. This Lord is present in all beings and all that exist and are equally loved by the divine. So when you're in constant contact with it, having a shaligrama, you will see how much power it has. Now, there is another one thing I want to tell you, that in India, we are going to open in January the temple of Rama in Ayodhya. That's in Uttar Pradesh. And this was a place where it is said Rama was born. And so they have got a shaligrama from Nepal, which is about 26 and 14 tons, which is 60 million years old. And out of that, they are sculpting the image of Vishnu. So I'll leave you a picture of this Sudarshana Kurma Sesha idol. If you see an open side of it, it also has gold markings on it. Not this one is Kurma, but when you see the opening of it, sometimes they get broken in their travel, and you can worship them as the broken one, so long as this chakra is not meddled with. So this is the shaligrama. And now we have 20 minutes. Panchayatana. Those are also stones.
Hariom, sir.
Hariom, that's it. These are the deities. These are
Swamiji, the
the
class is still. It was supposed to be till 4.
Goodness gracious, I was counting 4:30. Can I have 15 minutes?
Okay, Swamiji. Okay. Yeah.
Otherwise, we can always do it in the next class. Anyway, to make it short, this worship was there all over India. It was made as 5 stones because they worshipped the spatic-like thing. Crystal is Surya. The silver-hued one on top is Shakti. Then you have a Banalingam, you have for Shiva, and you have a Vishnu, the Shaligrama. And this red one for Shonabhadra, introduced to me first by Devanand. And so I'm putting it there. The this Sonabhadra red stone represents Ganapati. You get it only in a Sonabhadra river in Bihar. So these 5 are representatives because different people had different Ishta Devatas in their families. So, which was worshipped then, and Adi Shankara revived the tradition of worshipping it, so that if your Ishta Devata was one particular divine, supposing Shiva was your Ishta Devata, you can put these in a penta form, 5-figured form. And if it is Shakti, you put Shakti, and you put these in the in a different configuration, but the Shakti will be in the center, like that. And that's it. The idea is to follow the meditation path to understand the oneness of the Atma, your soul, and Parabrahman, the supreme consciousness, and your individual consciousness, which is taken by the Atma or your soul, are the same. And when you practice meditation, you come to a point that you realize all these are one, and there is only one divinity in the universe, of which you two are a part. Tattvamasi, that the what. So keep this in your mind. And if you're whatever you're worshipping, do not look at it as stones. That's why when you go to buy it, and if you say it's 1,000 rupees, is what for this stone you're asking 1,000 rupees? No, the stone contains the whole universe in it, as you contain the whole universe. So they tell you anybody can sell, buy, trade in it, that's okay. But do not put a value on it, because this is invaluable. So Hari Om Tat Sat. I hope you take the blessings of the Supreme Consciousness, which is already within you. Just turn inwards and you'll find it. We'll chant Om 3 times. Breathe in. Om. 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 Just think of your Guru and he will do what is necessary with his grace. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Hari Om, that's it. Bowing to all of you who have helped me bring this out in my own words, because this is, you have all got the divinity within you. I'm bowing to that. Namaskar. Hari Om. That's it.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.
So Devanand, I'm done. I've taken 12 minutes more, no? Which I can make up for in the next class. You can have 12 minutes of me. But we are talking of the timeless consciousness, no? So it's okay. Hari Om, that's it. Now I have to call
Hari Om.
this man to come and put all this up because I leave. Okay.
Thank you so much, Swamiji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You gave me the topic and I said, oh my God, why will he choose that topic? I never realized how valuable it is for me.
We'll end the meeting here. Hari Om.